Roadman, driving in the road van. Well, I'm just about to drive in the road van. I'm in the garage here outside of Rocket Arena, where the Cavaliers saw their season come to an end tonight as they lose to the Indiana Pacers by the final score of 114 to 105. Season over. 64-win regular season. Best team in the Eastern Conference for almost the entire regular season. Number one seed in the playoffs. 4-0 sweep in the first round against the Miami Heat. You're thinking, man, this team's on a mission. This team learned from last year, right? Where they had to go to 7 games in the first round against the Orlando Magic before they advanced to the second round and would lose to the eventual NBA champion Celtics. But, okay, no shame in losing to the Celtics. They were the favorites last year. They go on and win it all. You learn from that. All right, let's bring those lessons that we learned last year to this year's playoffs. And it looked like I said that they did by going up 2-0 at home on Miami and then going to South Beach and winning by a combined 92 points. There was no letdown. And I'm thinking to myself, you know what? Wow, how about that? They didn't take them for granted. They didn't take their foot off the gas. They pounded Miami. Okay, get a week off. You've got the 4 seed, the Indiana Pacers, coming into your building. Come out, let's fight in game 1, get game 1, set the tone, and no, they lose game 1. Pacers, who were in the Eastern Conference Finals last year, right? Showing that, you know what happened in the regular season, we beat you all 3 games to 1, wasn't a fluke. We don't fear you, even though you are the number 1 seed. We're the team that made the Eastern Conference Finals last year, not you. They come into your building, get game 1, and they set the tone. And boy, did they set the tone. Toughness, force, physicality, all of the above. Cavaliers then come out in game number 2. They're down 1-0 in the series against the Pacers. They come out in game number 2. They go up by 20 points. It looks like, okay, yeah, they took them for granted in game 1, made that mistake, rebounded from that loss, used it as motivation. They're on their way to winning game 2, and what happens? They blow a 20-point lead. They blow a 7-point lead with 50 seconds left to go in game 2. Halliburton hits a 3. Ball game. You lose by 1 point a game you should have won. Series should have been tied 1-1. Instead, you're down 0-2. Unacceptable. To start the series 0-2 when all season long at home you've been one of the best home teams. All right, which team's going to show up in Indiana for game 3? Is this going to be a sweep? They just going to pack it in after losing the first 2? No, they go out and they blow out Indiana. Led by, 21 at the half. I think they won by 22, whatever it was. Okay, finally, Cavs have woken up. They're back in it. If they can do to Indiana what Indiana did to Cleveland in the first 2, you tie this up 2-2, win 2 road games, then it becomes a best-of-3 series, and you've got 2 at home. So with that thought process, right, going into game 4, and I remember saying this on the Kenny and JT show, News Talk 1480 WHBC, and probably on a Riding with the Roadman or the Road to Recap on Twitter, saying, look, Pacers are going to come out in game 4 and play more physical than they played in the first 3 games because they realize they can't let the Cavaliers steal game 4, even this series at 2-2. They need to win game 4 to go up 3-1. I knew it. Kenny Atkinson said he talked to the players about it. They knew it. And yet the players didn't hear it. Maybe they heard it. They didn't believe it. I don't know. Cavaliers get completely embarrassed in game 4. Down 41 at halftime to tie an NBA record for the largest deficit in a halftime game in NBA playoff history. That's how bad the Cavaliers were. That's how much they stunk. Get blown out in game 4. Now they're down 3-1, must win at home, right? Or the season's over. And again, Cavaliers go up by 14. They go up by 19. Pacers were not fazed by it. They played the long game. They felt their style of play. And one of the big topics coming into this series was pace of play by the Pacers. They want to push it. They can wear you down. Well, with the injuries that occurred throughout this series, the physicality that wasn't called by the officials causing some injuries, I will say, yes, the Cavaliers weren't at 100%, but all teams are banged up this time of the year. But the Cavaliers had Darius Garland out when the series started. You had Evan Mobley go down with an ankle injury, DeAndre Hunter with a thumb injury, Mitchell played throughout the series with a calf and an ankle injury. Okay, I get it, but still. You were good enough to have 19 and 20-point leads in 3 out of the 5 games, and you won 1. You get beat at home, blowing a 19-point lead again at home in Game 5. Guess what? You didn't deserve to win this series. They were the better team. Give credit to the Indiana Pacers. They were in the Eastern Conference Finals last year, and they're back there again this year. They're the better team. Weren't the better seed or the higher seed, but they're the better team. Better coach team. Tougher players, both mentally and physically. Better team won. Credit to the Indiana Pacers. So now what if you're the Cavaliers, if you're the front office? The core 4 of Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell. If you're Kobe Altman and Mike Gansey, Dan Gilbert, the owner, the meetings you have this offseason, they better be just as real can be. Can you win with this core 4, adding DeAndre Hunter, who you picked up at the trade deadline? I think he should start. And don't get me started on Max Strus. I warned you all about Max Strus. I did. All or nothing. The most inconsistent, how did I say that? He is the most consistent, inconsistent player I've ever seen. Had 2 nice games, 23 points, career playoff high in Game 2. They lose. Then he followed that up with 20 in Game 3. They get the win. And then Games 4 and 5, 11 points in Game 4, 0 points in a do-or-die must-win Game 5. 0 of 9 from the field. I made as many shots as Max Strus did tonight. So if you're that front office, you got to look at this roster and say, okay, who are the keepers? Where are our weaknesses? Physicality, mental toughness. Which guys are the weakest in those areas? And you've got to make some changes. I don't think you can just run it back like you did this year, basically, with the roster. You changed the coach last year. Kudos, good move. But you're not going to change the coach this year. So where are the changes that need to be made? That's what they need to figure out. And it starts with toughness, mentally and physically. Something's got to change. Or guess what? We'll be back here next year after the second round, and the Cavaliers will have lost 4 games to 1. Just like they did this year to the Pacers, just like they did last year to the Boston Celtics, just like they did the year before in the first round, 4 games to 1 to the New York Knicks. Think about that. In the series that they lost the last 3 years, they're 3-12. 4-1, 4-1, 4-1. What's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a different result. Well, 4-1, 4-1, 4-1. Something's got to change. I'm not sure right now what that is, who that is. They know better. They better be, like I said, truthful with each other in those rooms when they get together for meetings and saying, we like this guy, good guy and all, but hey, might have to go. It's not getting it done for us when we need it most. Hey, good shot, but mentally he's not tough enough. Hey, guy's a heck of a player, but he's not physical enough when it comes to the playoffs. Who are those guys? You got to weed them out. Got to make some moves. Got to make some changes. Can't keep doing the same stuff over and over and over again and expect, it's a building, process. Step by step. Well, they plateaued. They got to the second round last year and lost 4-1. They got to the second round this year, lost 4-1. This year is worse because they were the favorite. They were the higher seed. They were the number 1 seed. And they lost. 64 wins, number 1 seed goes for naught. All that regular season hype and best record and winning streaks here and winning streak means doodly squat in the postseason. If they haven't learned that the postseason is a completely different animal and is a notch or 10 above what the regular season is, I don't know what to tell you. Don't know what to tell you. Frustrating. I said at the beginning of the season before it started, in order for this season, the 24-25 season, to be a success for me with the Cavaliers, they would have to go a step further than they did last year. Okay? Because I went back and I looked at it. Play-in tournament a few years ago, they lose 2 games to none. They lost both games. Okay. They made the next step the next year. They made the playoffs. Well, they got beat, though, 4 games to 1 in the first round of the playoffs that year to the Knicks. Okay, but they still took it a step further. Last year, they won a playoff series. Took them 7 games against Orlando, but still they won a playoff series. Got to the next round, the second round for the first time with this group, right? And got beat by the eventual champions, the Celtics. No shame in that. But at least they went a step further last year, right? So there's the progression. Play in, playoffs, win a playoff series. This year it was win 2 playoff series. That was my expectation. At least getting to the Eastern Conference Finals in order for this season to be considered successful in the building process. And instead, lose in the same round by the same score, 4 games to 1. Not a successful season. Don't give me the crap about 64 wins and the number 1 seed. Oh, that's move. No, playoffs. Forget the regular season. Hopefully we've learned that. Didn't go further in the playoffs this year. Not a successful season. End of story. Bottom line, deal with it. You can't handle the truth? Too bad. That's the truth. Now the offseason. What does Kobe Altman, Mike Gansey, Dan Gilbert, and the front office do to make sure we are not back in this same situation next year? And I'm doing a riding with the roadman saying, well, another second round loss by the Cavaliers, 4 games to 1. Pick a team in the East, and, you can say they beat the Cavaliers. Because it was the Knicks, it was the Celtics, it was the Pacers. 3 different teams using the same MO, right? What's their MO? Get physical with the Cavs, and you can out-tough them mentally and physically. They'll crumble. They'll, wilt, break down, and we'll beat them 4 games to 1. Something's got to change. All right. Even though the Cavs season's over, I'll still be doing some riding with the roadmans. Guardians won tonight. Hallelujah. They're playing good baseball. Football season just around the corner. Buckeyes season just around the corner. So I'll be doing more of the riding with the roadman with all of those teams in mind. And we'll maybe do one when the Cavaliers make a big trade in the offseason to try and better this roster. So we're not talking about another second round end of the season next year.